Plenty of games on itch.io can be considered disturbing, but I think I found one that slipped through the cracks and no one is really talking about. Kill the deer looks normal, but diving into the game, nothing will make sense. Let's dive into this disturbing game together. Loading into the game, the first menu is unsuspectingly normal and filled with bright colors, legible text, and instructions on what to do. But if you look at the bottom right, where you can read exit, something seems to be inside of the word. It looks like a humanoid figure of some sort, but we continue to the game by hitting play. We've dropped into a field of what seems to be an almost childlike drawing of what a field is. Expansive green grass, with a baby blue sky dotted with clouds. Small flowers litter the field, but behind us is a shack of sorts, with what seems to be a cross or maybe even a grave marker. Investigating the shack, there doesn't seem to be more to it. As we walk into the field, you can spot a house across the bank with trees surrounding it, but there seems to be no way of crossing the river. As we approach the deer for an easier shot, the piano that plays in the background evokes a very melancholic feeling. Single key presses that let the notes linger maybe longer than they should. As we approach the deer and shoot it, something replaces the deer we just shot. It looks almost identical to the figure that was in the exit button when we first loaded up the game. A red face adorned by what seems to be a black robe of sorts. Another face protrudes from its shoulder, but that's the only feature we can really make of this creature. The music shifts into something much more sinister as it just follows us. Slowly, it starts to get faster as we back away, but eventually it becomes too late. We can hear a baby crying as it takes the final step before reaching us. The game closes shortly after. Even if you waste your 3 bullets and spare the deer, nothing actually changes. Instead, you get a terrifying message. Hitting play again, we're back in the same field, but it's much more disturbing. The sky is now a sea of red, while our vision is much more limited. The shack still exists, but the cross has changed to colors of red. Distorted sounds play in the background as we traverse the fields to investigate the building across. I'm unwilling to call this music as it seems to be here just to unnerve us. On the way to the building, looking across the field, you can see the door from the cabin that was originally there, but the rest of the building is missing. Just the silhouette of the door painted onto the red sky. We finally reach the building in the distance, and there seems to be text written on the walls. You really shouldn't be here. They don't want you here. Across the river, they are there. Please free me if you can. The text sparks more questions than anything. Who are they, and how do we free this person, if it even is a person? Nearby, there's a bridge that lets us cross the once uncrossable river, but as we get halfway over, a message pops up. Deciphering the message can be a little tricky, but by measuring the pixels of the other words, we can get a rough estimate on how long each word could be and make a guess based on that. She and he blank this world. Unfortunately, the first sentence is almost impossible to do because of the varying sizes of the letters. The sentence is morphed, and that makes it hard to get accurate pixel counts without just guessing if the censored word is actually that long or also morphed. Feed her. Always check your behind. If you hear any unfamiliar sound, do not blank. Using context clues and measuring the words next to it, we can imagine the word has to be somewhat long, and what do people often do when they see or hear something unfamiliar? They investigate, so I think the sentence goes, if you hear any unfamiliar sound, do not investigate. Blank before it's too late. The final censor has a letter that has a long back similar to a B or an L, and after finding the exact font that's used in game, you can see that both the B's and the L's share the same anatomy of letter form. The small line that starts at the top before extending downwards. At first I thought this would be a bore since the censor starts before the visible letter, but looking at the other words in the same sentence, the T would also be visible. I also thought it would be a bore because of the context clues we've gone so far, such as a crying baby and the figure previously calling us child. So I think the censor just starts before the word, and the word is actually leave before reading altogether as she and he blank this world, feed her. Always check your behind. If you hear any unfamiliar sound, do not investigate. Leave before it's too late. Going back to the game, we arrive at the lone door in the woods, and upon touching it, our screen is muddled with the words, "Look what you did." Turning around, we can see something in the distance. No sounds play, nor any music. Just silence as we get closer to what seems to be a figure of sorts and another door. We are under the fields that we were previously walking around. Maybe this is symbolism for the afterlife. After all, we did just cross a river we couldn't cross in the beginning. A symbolism often used to depict the crossing into the afterlife, like in Japanese, Greek, and Chinese mythology. Getting close to the figure, it says three words and disappears.
Just give up.
Trying to get through the door just doesn't work, but trying again does. What is your biggest fear? We seem to be trapped in a cage of pure white, but something continues to keep talking to us. Is it death? You can really answer, don't you? You have no effect on anything. They will consume you. You have no other choice. You accept the curse. Can you hear? Teleported outside the cage, we can move around the pitch black room. Red text adorns the wall next to us. Phil, my dear, your name, your address, your age. To enter your name, press N and type your name. For your age, press O and then type your age. We already know your address. Typing names and words doesn't seem to actually do anything, but maybe it requires us to progress further and come back to find more clues. Next to it, much smaller text reads, "By going into that door, you accept a sacrifice." Walking around the room, we can see a small symbol in the corner, but I can't decipher what it is or what it could possibly mean. So we walk around more to finally find a door which leads us to one of the most disturbing endings in a video game.
You could have leave, but you choose to deep dive human. Let the curse upon you. Feed our baby, shall you? Give your life for God's. Let us sing you a melody to keep you entertained.
Transported to another field, we become the deer, and the entities actually talk to us with a voice rather than through text or imagery. A pile of deer carcasses lay nearby, maybe to signify that we are just a part of another hunt, a means to an end, a cycle of life, maybe. As the baby approaches us, the entities seem to be saying a chant, but I genuinely can't understand if it's even in English, or another language, or maybe played in reverse. I can only make out that it's seemingly the exact same chant, as you'll hear the same pronunciation, something that sounds like anguish. Upon the baby finally reaching us, a pop up appears. Your soul is ours now. The software did its job. You will never find us again, before crashing the game. Opening the game again, the menu transforms again, but changes much more than last time. You can find text that reads, "Don't let them rot," "Kill the humans," "Feed the baby," "Consume flesh." Nothing can be done on this screen, only resetting the game to the first level by clicking the deer's eye, so that seems to be the end of this disturbing game. But what if I said I was lying? Going back to the field in which we are a deer, we can pull apart some interesting details. The knife and the word deer. We've never had a knife so far, but only a gun. The entities call us humans, even though the text refers to us as a deer, and as far as I know, animals do not have gods. A large contradiction for us to simply be a deer. I do theorize this has to do with how religion views animals. In most religions, animals cannot sin, and this is due to them not knowing what is right or wrong, and acting on instincts and just trying to survive. As humans, while we have to survive, we do not do it in a moral manner, nor do we sometimes know when to stop, killing animals for sport rather than actual consumption. Maybe we have just become the deer to another hunter, something that can consume us. I also have another theory throughout the game. It tried to warn us multiple times, especially with somewhat parental language. Calling us child and oftentimes crying can be hurt. Maybe rather than a religion, this is just Mother Nature taking a form that we can't truly understand. We're being punished for taking another life or maybe taking too many. The pile of deer carcasses could be our doing. Remember the white cage section where we could type? There was also another door. This one leads to something terrifying.
Intruder, 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 intruder.
They seem to be chanting something, but I can't fully make it out. Seems to be intruder or maybe true death. I'll let you guys decide. But going back to the main room, we can try to type some words given to us by the game throughout our playthrough. If you remember the final screen of the game, the menu had changed substantially. Using these key phrases, maybe something could happen. Don't let them rot, kill the humans, feed the baby, consume flesh, and the long number string that we got. Typing these numbers and phrases doesn't give us anything though. Maybe the game hadn't actually given us any clues. Maybe we are meant to delve deeper to find what it actually means. First, we'll find an image you can actually get in game. If you type the word location in the terminal, you get an image named Fake Scare. Your location submitted. Thank you for your participation, with sacrifice written over the top, and then a string of numbers following afterwards. I tried to see if these numbers were maybe an address of some sort, but it didn't actually have any relevant information. Just a random house that definitely wasn't a part of the game. Another file we can find is called Rather, which is an image of what seems to be a person or thing cut in half outside of a house. This house is actually popular in liminal spaces like background videos. The issue is what the person is doing in the yard. Is it us, or is it a warning? Another file we'll find is called Answer. It's almost illegible, but we can try to piece it together like the image on the bridge. Some of it was easier to decipher than some, but this is what I've come up with. No exit here, never was. He think, she cut. Brain watch, knife do the work. Baby is mouth, it take the rest. When empty, they wait again. Breaking this down, maybe we can get our answer after all. No exit here, never was, feels like it's talking about the actions we've taken to escape or a lack of real direction we could have taken to free ourselves. Looking back on the game, we've been at the merciless power of the entities, while something has been asking for our help to free it this entire time. He think, she cut is maybe talking about a couple, or maybe even the entities, as one of them is labeled as she in the files. Brain watch, knife do the work. Seems to be talking about being trapped in a body as you commit an action. A passenger to your body as naturalistic or unwanted actions happen maybe? Baby is the mouth, it takes the rest. If you've ever bottle fed a baby, you know it'll drink the entire thing even if it's satiated. Babies have an innate lack of control and they just do what their bodies tell them. When empty, they wait again. This talks about the baby again, but how the baby will wait till fed again, never truly hunting or gathering for itself. Waiting on the bottle again, just to repeat the cycle until satiated. For the last secret, you can find it on the first level on one of the fence posts, but it's also in the files. Only way to destroy the curse is to kill the baby. If you are reading this, please destroy their terminal and the curse. One of the first things you'll find in game if you look hard enough, but also one of the few messages typed in perfect English. A warning left behind by a soul before us. In the game, we are unable to kill the baby as we are not given the means to do so. The terminal most likely refers to the white case section again, where you can type your name, age, and address, where a person has gone too far into the game, and they can no longer turn back. Where their soul is stuck to go to the next room and be consumed by that baby. The curse is harder to explain as it's not truly identifiable. Is it to murder something, or is it to be human? I just don't know. The game talks about a curse throughout our entire playthrough, but the way to extinguish that curse is not in our power. We are just another part of this cycle. I tried to find as much as I could in the game, including the files, but this is where the road finally ends. A game made in 2 days, but had put plenty of thoughts inside my head. This is the end of Kill the Deer.